Can Embiid sustain this high-level performance, or was this just a one-time thing?
I believe Joel Embiid can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Oh, okay.
And I think he's that gifted. He's that special of a talent. This is an elite player in the National Basketball Association. This is one of the elite big men in the game. And when you consider the kind of talent that he has and the level of dominance that he's capable of doing, you got to understand something. When we say that word dominance, everybody ain't capable of doing that. Most players in the world are not capable of doing that. What Joel Embiid did last night against the Boston Celtics, 38 and 13, he can do any night he wants. He does not need to be averaging less than 25 a game. He was at 27 last year. He came into last night averaging 22. He still shot 30% from the three-point range the way he did last year. He was getting to the free throw line 3 less times than he did last year. Shoot perimeter shots, dribbling the ball on the perimeter, trying to make something happen. You're 7'1", over 275. You are a man-child. Footwork exceptional, hands exceptional, back to the basket game, facing the basket game. He's absolutely unstoppable when he wants to be. And to go to Max's point about him last year, where Max talked about it, do you know of a greater personality in the game? There is none. The guy is funny. He's affable. He can be a gentle giant. He can be malicious in going after his opponents. He can do it all. And he's box office when he wants to be. The difference between him and somebody like the Greek Freak, and I'm not talking about their games per se, I'm talking about a mentality. There is a fierceness and a ferociousness to the Greek Freak. You know it before you arrive to the arena. He is coming. He is on a seek and destroy mission every single night for those 48 minutes. Russell Westbrook talks it and has that attitude. But the game that the Greek Freak puts out on a night-in, night-out basis shows a level of viciousness that you just don't see often. And you usually don't see that from Russell Westbrook either. It's just that Greek Freak's more effective. Joel Embiid doesn't have to have that, but he does have to have a repetitive fire in his belly. We see it too infrequently. That's his only problem.
The question is, can Embiid sustain this high level of performance? Yeah, sure, he can. The question is, should he? He has, trying to remember how to pronounce it, spondylolysis, something like that? Spondylolysis? Something like that. I forgot. But it's a back condition, right, where you have stress fracture in the vertebrae, whatever. And people don't know, is that genetic or is it acquired? That's like, there's a debate about it, and maybe both have, like, play in. But he's a giant. He's 7 feet tall, and like a big 7 feet tall. He's not one of these, take you off the dribble skinny dudes like Giannis or even like Porzingis. He's a wide-body, old-school center, 7 feet tall. Is it genetic? I mean, I wouldn't have a hard time believing that. And then is it acquired? You want him to bang down low and stuff like that? It's going to be difficult. So he's going to have to do that. That's the game he plays, and he's suited to do it. But how hard do you want him pushing it in the first half of a season? Sometimes you got to assert yourself, and he responded to Shaq and Barkley like a champ, by the way. Didn't get all offended and sensitive. It was like, these are some of the greatest players of all time telling me this. I appreciate it. They're right. It helped me. Good for him for saying that. He has a winning personality. I totally agree. I think he has probably the best personality in sports if you're talking about how fun he is to watch and listen to, talk and all that stuff. But you want him playing like that every night? And then what's he going to be for the playoffs? And if he does win you a championship, grinding during the regular season like that, how many do you think you're going to get? They need to do with Embiid what they're doing with Kawhi. You need to load manage that guy. And if it's a case, Stephen A., where you're like, look, you're not just going to be able to turn it on and turn it off. He's going to have to do this all the time to be a champion. Then I'd say, fine, you sacrifice longevity for your career. You have to roll the dice, and you got to go all out every night. But I don't think that's the case with Embiid. He has a chance, given his frame, given his skills that you outlined, the footwork, the hands, the whole thing, to be, can you tell me a more perfect center than the center that Embiid has a chance to be? He's a ferocious defender, by the way. He's a great defensive player who can also shoot from the outside. Not well enough yet, but better than the guys used to. Who can also shoot some free throws, who can also take you down low, who has two hands, Who can do all those things at Embiid size ever?
But here's what I think you're missing. I'm not talking about going out there every day and going all out for 30-plus minutes a night. I'm saying there should never be a night where you score 0 points. There should never be a night where you're playing around to such a degree that it's so conspicuous that it alarms champions and people who have excelled at a high level at this game. We're talking about a guy in Joel Embiid where we're able to look at him, and before you could get to the load management, before you could get to the health, it's that attitude. And I've spoken to many members of the Sixers, and that's the one thing you'll sit up there and say, everybody knows the skill, everybody knows the personality, lovable guy, really great guy, and a great player. But point is that, of course, you're going to monitor your health and pay attention to all of that. But there are spurts within a game where you can rest, even though you're on the court. There are spurts within a game where it's time to take over. There are moments where, and you've seen this, watching basketball the way that you do, it's sitting up there, whether it's filled with MJ or it's filled with Kobe or somebody else, and they just look at you. And it's like, it's time. I used to cover Temple, and John Chaney used to be there, and John Chaney would have an Eddie Jones, the Aaron McKees of the world, whatever. And you know, they're doing everything's going on, and they're going back and forth. And then all of a sudden, John Chaney just stares at them. And they just look at him. And it's one look. And it's like, it's time. Stop playing.
I'm not arguing that.
And that's all I'm saying.
I'm not arguing that.
That's all I'm saying.
You can't have 0 points ever in a game if you're Embiid, ever. I'm talking about the criticism of Shaq and Chuck and Charles Barkley was 22 points. Do you want to be 22 points, or do you want to give me 28, 30? I don't know that Embiid is physically built to give you 30 points a night throughout the whole regular season and still be ready in the playoffs. Remember what Horford did to him a couple of years ago. He may have to have those nights of 22, 18, 22 points where he can take it a little easy. Yeah. Certain nights you skip so that in the playoffs he can give you the 30.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.